Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In a development shaking the balance of power in the Middle East, Iran and Russia have finalized a massive military agreement that could redefine regional air dominance. The long-anticipated Su-35 fighter jet deal. Israel, watching closely, has reportedly gone on high alert as Tehran prepares to receive one of the world's most advanced air superiority aircraft. This isn't just a simple arms purchase. This deal marks a new era in military cooperation between Moscow and Tehran, one that could tip the strategic scales against Western influence and, more importantly, threaten Israel's long-standing air superiority across the region. For months, whispers of this deal have circulated through intelligence networks. Now, confirmation has arrived. Russian-made Su-35 is known for their unmatched agility, stealth capabilities, and long-range precision are set to be delivered to Iran in the coming months. Iranian officials are calling it a historic leap in defense capability. Israeli defense experts, however, are calling it a direct threat. To understand why this move has sent shockwaves through Tel Aviv, we need to look at what the Su-35 represents. Built by Sukhoi, this 4th-generation multi-role fighter jet is a combat machine capable of tracking 30 targets simultaneously and engaging 8 of them at once. With its thrust, vectoring engines, radar, absorbing materials, and advanced electronic warfare systems, the Su-35 can go head-to-head with America's F-15 and even challenge the F-35 under certain conditions. For Iran, this is a long-awaited breakthrough. For decades, the country's air force has relied on outdated F-14s, MiG-29s, and F-4 Phantoms, relics of past eras. Sanctions and isolation have crippled its ability to modernize. But now, with Russia's cooperation and shared strategic interests, that barrier is finally breaking. Western intelligence sources believe that Iran could receive up to 24 Su-35 jets, some of which were originally built for Egypt before their deal with Moscow was scrapped due to U.S. pressure. Now, those aircraft have found a new home in Tehran. This sudden move comes as Russia seeks to reward Iran for its military and political support during the Ukraine conflict. Iranian-made drones, particularly the Shahd 136, have played a critical role in Russian operations. Now it appears Moscow is returning the favor with cutting-edge jets that could transform Iran's air power. The implications are enormous. For Israel, this deal raises one central fear, that the Su-35 will allow Iran to project power far beyond its borders. Tel Aviv's defense establishment knows that these jets, once operational, could protect Iranian nuclear sites more effectively and even challenge Israeli air incursions over Syria or Lebanon. Recent satellite images show construction at multiple Iranian airbases, including Isfahan and Tabriz, believed to be modified to accommodate the new Russian jets. Runways are being extended, new radar systems installed, and fortified hangars built. Israeli intelligence views these as signs that Tehran is preparing to integrate the Su-35 into its operational fleet within months. Reports from Israel's Channel 12 reveal that the Israeli Air Force has already begun scenario simulations, preparing for potential encounters with Iranian Su-35s over Syrian airspace. Military analysts warn that such encounters could drastically increase the risk of a direct aerial clash between Israeli and Iranian pilots, something that has never happened in modern history. The U.S. State Department, meanwhile, has expressed deep concern over the transfer, calling it a dangerous escalation of Russia's partnership with Iran. Washington fears the growing Iran-Russia axis could weaken Western leverage in future negotiations, particularly over Iran's nuclear ambitions. And that brings us to the heart of the issue. The Su-35 deal doesn't exist in isolation, it ties directly into Iran's broader strategic goals. With the collapse of the JCPOA nuclear talks, Tehran has moved closer to Russia and China, creating a new axis of resistance against Western dominance. These partnerships give Iran not just weapons, but legitimacy, support, and access to advanced military technologies that were once out of reach. Experts argue that Iran's new air power will complicate any future Israeli or U.S. plans for a preemptive strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. For years, Israel has counted on its F-35 Iadier stealth jets to dominate regional skies. But a squadron of Su-35s in Iran's hands could neutralize that edge, or at least make such operations far more dangerous. Former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett recently warned that Iran's alliance with Russia represents a historic turning point, and called for urgent international action. Current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has maintained close ties with Moscow in the past, now faces a dilemma: how to counter this rising threat without triggering a larger confrontation. Behind closed doors, defense officials in Tel Aviv have reportedly been pushing Washington to step up its pressure on Russia, demanding that any Su-35 transfers to Iran be halted immediately. But with the war in Ukraine stretching Russian resources and deepening Moscow's reliance on Tehran, those calls may fall on deaf ears. Meanwhile, Iranian media is celebrating. State TV described the Su-35 deal as a response to years of Israeli aggression, and a warning to those who believe Iran's skies can be violated with impunity. The message is clear. Tehran feels emboldened. Some analysts say this deal could mark the birth of a new military bloc, a coalition where Iran, Russia, and potentially China coordinate their defense industries and intelligence networks. If that happens, the balance of power in the Middle East and perhaps globally could shift permanently. Israel is responding in kind. The Israeli Air Force has reportedly ordered enhanced radar and missile systems, as well as joint drills with the United States focusing on high-altitude air combat scenarios. Jerusalem also appears to be fast, tracking the deployment of new F-15EX fighters as part of a broader modernization plan to retain regional air dominance. But even with these measures, the strategic equation has changed. For the first time in decades, Iran will soon have aircraft capable of challenging Israeli jets in open skies and possibly defending its most sensitive sites from preemptive attacks. As tensions mount, one question looms large: could this lead to a direct confrontation? Experts say it's unlikely in the short term, but the risk of miscalculation is rising. Any Israeli strike on Iranian assets or a close encounter between warplanes over Syria could spiral quickly into conflict. The broader geopolitical picture is also shifting. As Russia strengthens its military ties with Iran, it sends a message to the West. Moscow has allies who can destabilize entire regions if provoked. For Iran, it's a chance to showcase that it can no longer be isolated or contained. This deal, therefore, is more than just an arms transaction. It's a strategic alliance, a warning, and a symbol of a world dividing into rival camps once again. The Middle East stands at a crossroads. Will this new Iran-Russia partnership lead to deterrence, or will it ignite the next regional war? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: with the Su-35 jets now heading to Tehran, the skies over the Middle East have never been more dangerous. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.